So on January 18th, Alice, she ends up getting like her very last letter from Freda. It's the very last letter that Freda would ever write her. It said, "Dear Allie." Whoop, my brow's drying in a weird way. It didn't say that, but like, hold on. It said, "Dear Allie, I will love you now and always will, but I have been forbidden to speak to you and I have to obey. You say I am much to blame as you are. If I have done you any harm or caused you any trouble, I humbly beg your forgiveness. Please don't let anyone know I wrote this. No one knows about last summer's business except our family. That is, unless you have told someone. We go back to Gold Dust this evening. Freda." Ooh, I know what you did last summer. So Alice gets this letter, and you know what she knows? She knows that Freda is lying because there is no steamboat that's leaving on the evening of January 18th. She's lying. There had been like heavy snow. There was too much ice in the river. Freda was a lying hoe. She knows that Freda's going to be in town just a little bit longer. She can't leave. Where's she going to go? She knows that the next steamboat wouldn't be for another week. So, on January 25th, Alice was ready. She hitched up her horse and buggy. That's so funny. And she went over to fetch her neighbor / second BFF, Lily. Now, at this time, Lily was babysitting like a six-year-old. I think it was her nephew. She's babysitting, so she's like, "Can I bring the baby?" Well, not baby. You get it. She's like, "Yeah, sure, bring him." So the three of them, they jump into the little carriage situation and they go. So they go to like where the steamboat loading area. I'm sorry, I don't know technically like what you call it. I think it's a loading area, sure. But Alice spots Freda and her sister, Jo, on their way to the boat. A few moments later, Alice, she climbs out of the buggy, leaving Lily and her nephew to mind the horse. Lily, allegedly, I believe her, she didn't know anything that was going on. She had no clue like this was gonna happen, because within like just a few minutes, Alice had caught up to Freda and her sister. And I guess, like without a word, she slashed at Freda with a straight razor. So Jo cried out and like tried to jump between Alice and her bleeding sister, like trying to, I guess she had an umbrella, and she was like trying to beat Alice back with an umbrella. And she's calling Alice like a dirty dog, which is like the meanest thing you can call someone. Dirty dog, So Jo's trying to beat her with the umbrella, and I guess Alice, she knocks the umbrella out of her face, away, whatever, and she cuts Jo. So Jo had yelled at Alice like, "You'll hang for this." And then Alice, this was according to witnesses who were there, and then Alice had shouted back like, "I don't care if I'm hung, I want to die anyhow." So she's just raging. Freda had managed to stumble only a few steps away, like trying desperately to reach the boat ramp, but Alice was right there. She was right there, and she was cutting her, she was slicing her, and I guess it's gross, but she like cut her throat from ear to ear. Yeah, not great. Freda collapsed, and then when Freda collapsed, that's when Alice like ran back to that buggy, right? And she jumps in and they take off. So there were witnesses there, and they described Alice as looking insane. Her face was bloody. Her hat was missing. I know. Her hair was wild and like streaming behind her. I love that. Drama. So Alice, she jumps into the carriage. She takes the reins. She whips the horse like into a gallop. And there were there were a lot of witnesses, a lot of bystanders. And there was one bystander who I guess started chasing them, thinking that Lily and her nephew had like just been kidnapped by this psychopath, So this guy's following them. So they take off, high speeds, buggy. I don't know how fast that thing can go, but I imagine it could go fast, right? They take off, and you know where they go? Alice didn't think this far ahead. She didn't think of like, I don't know, a hideout spot or something, because she went straight home. You can't go home. That's exactly where the police are going to come, right? They know, okay. But that's where she went. She went home. So Alice goes home. Her mom is there. her mom was like helping her clean up because she has blood all over her face and whatnot. So her mother's like washing the blood from Alice's face. She put some bandages on like different cuts that she had gotten like on her fingers. And then it didn't take long because then the chief of police arrived and placed Alice under arrest for murder.